3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Fours podcast, a podcast from three Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. These are our Batch Fridays, where we talk about Bad Batch Season 2, episode by episode. Today, talking about episode 4, The Fast and the Furious, Riot Racing.
That was so obvious. I didn't even see it coming. Thank you, though.
I'm here to please. But before we get into the episode, we would like to welcome to our channel Megan García from Beyond the Force. Bienvenida a the Triad.
Hi.
Thank you
Welcome,
for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, and we're excited to have you. So always so I was telling Nani before you jumped on, so we're always looking, as we said, Puerto Rican podcast, always looking to, uplift other Puerto Rican voices and POC voices and minority voices. So every time we see other, Star Wars nerds, especially Puerto Rican Star Wars nerds, it's like, okay,
We get extra excited.
Please, we
Yes.
get extra excited. So we're extra
Puerto Rican
happy.
Jedi.
Exactly.
Important.
We need that
Awesome.
Disney Plus spinoff for the Puerto Rican Jedi experience.
I would love that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, sign us up. You already got 3.
Yeah.
So Disney. I know Disney has that show called Gina J or something, like the new Puerto Rican show on Disney Plus.
Yes, I haven't
But,
watched it, but I've heard good
I
stuff.
haven't. I haven't watched it either. I'm waiting for some friends to watch it first before and get their review, because I'm on The Last of Us right now, which I don't
Same.
know if you guys seen the first episode, but holy crap.
I'm waiting
So
to
good.
binge like a couple because I know there's going to be illegal cliffhangers and
True.
I need to wait a little bit.
It's
Yeah.
true.
But I'm very
But
excited.
it's been mind-blowing. It's been
But
mind-blowing.
Did any of you play the game? I didn't play the game.
I
so
didn't
have
play
no
the game.
idea.
I am terrified of any first-person or third-person shooters. So if there's anything like that, I can't, but I
You run away from
tried.
it.
I
Yeah.
tried, and I played a good part of the first part of the game, so I could compare at least that. But I'm hoping that my plan is to sit down and watch the gameplay, and I'll just
Okay.
thrive through other people, and then
Yeah.
I'll enjoy
That makes
that.
sense.
Fine.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
so
good,
we'll
good.
see.
So
I
it's
I
good
suck
that
at those games
we're all
too, so
gonna
it's
be on
okay.
that journey.
Yeah.
Well, it's scary too. Like I'm not,
And they're scary, yeah.
right? I'm at a point in my life where I want to enjoy things. I don't know what my heart rate is, and I don't want to find out either. So, I want to
Blood pressure issues.
Exactly. Anyway, that was a tangent that I wasn't expecting to go into The Last of Us. Before we get into Bad Batch proper, Megan, like I said, thank you for joining us. And we haven't had you on the podcast before, and want to get to know you, and I'm sure that everyone listening also wants to get to know a little bit about you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what's your Star Wars journey? Tell us a little bit about that.
Which one do I pick first? Okay, I guess about myself. I'm a Puerto Rican that lives in Puerto Rico. An avid pop culture. I don't want to say addict, but I mean it's you could say so. Consumer. That's a better word. So anything from books, mostly books. I'm a book person, but from books to TV and movies, anything that has to do with pop culture. I'm an avid follower of it, and of course, fandoms come into that, and that's how Star Wars comes into my life. I must say, however, that before Star Wars became my sole character trait, it was Harry Potter. It was Harry Potter. I was a Potterhead.
Have them up there.
Right?
Yeah.
So before, I mean, I'm still a Potterhead at heart, but now
Yeah.
my life is has been taken over by Star Wars.
It happens. It's all of a
yeah.
sudden. You don't even realize it happens. All of a sudden, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm in
You
this
look
life.
around and everything's Star Wars all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I guess for some people, Star Wars is more of a family thing and a generational thing, but I wasn't as lucky. My mom is a Trekkie.
Okay.
And and my
Interesting.
father,
Spicy.
he isn't into anything of the sort. So I guess I got it from my mom, but Star Wars came into my life a little bit later, I would say. So I was 10 or 11, and I went to Disney World for the first time, and I saw Star Tours for the first time.
Yep.
and like old Star Tours, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And
The only one I've seen, so
Right.
I don't even remember. It's been so long.
and so you visit the park for the first time and you have no context because like the other
Mhm.
rides, you know something about them and the
Yeah.
shows, and you've seen any of the other shows or whatnot. But then Star Wars, I hadn't seen anything, so it's like I don't know the context. I
Oh.
can't enjoy
Uh-huh.
this. I mean, it's a fun ride, and I see the characters, and it's
Mhm.
cool and all, but I don't know anything. So I started from there, the interest, and then eventually in 6th grade, it's always the English teachers that do the cool
Mhm,
stuff.
mhm, mhm.
I'm
That's probably
probably
true.
biased because I am an English teacher, but it was my 6th
Good for
grade
you.
English teacher who, during a Christmas, like the holiday party,
Mhm.
Yeah.
his idea of a holiday movie was Phantom Menace. It's like, I'm gonna play Phantom Menace.
That's a good
And-
idea.
And he made us watch this movie. Nobody wanted to watch it because it, like, we're in the mood for Christmas. And he made us watch Phantom Menace, and from there I was hooked.
Mhm.
I saw
Yeah.
pod racing, and I was
Yeah.
hooked as a NASCAR fan at the
Right.
time. I was like, okay, this is I need to watch the rest, and that's where it started.
Yeah.
And after that, there's no looking back. So
Right.
Which means
I
you
love-
definitely love
yeah.
this episode because
I did.
pod
I
racing
love
was
this
your
story,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
It's a
good
great.
'cause it's so different. It's so different from all the other ones we've heard so far.
Yeah.
'Cause for the most part, people are just like original trilogy through my parents, or I saw them in theaters, or blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Or
I love the
prequel
different
trilogies
stories.
'cause I'm
Yeah.
younger.
Mm.
Some people I've been hearing also like, oh, I got into it through Clone Wars or through Rebels. You're the first person that's been like, no, it was technically through Star Tours. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. I love
I
it.
know.
So I haven't heard it before, so it's my favorite story right now.
Yay.
And then Star Tours, and then episode 1, which I think, and I'll keep saying it, is completely underrated. People like to, take
Yeah.
shots at that movie, but it's wonderful. It's one of
I
my
love
favorite
that
Star Wars
movie.
movies. It's great, and it's so poignant to today's episode,
Yeah.
which we'll get to in a bit. But I think we wanted to talk a little bit before we get too far into riot racing. Mando season 3 dropped. Disney and Lucasfilm dropped the Mando season 3 trailer. So I think we're gonna do like a fuller episode before everything is over. But we wanted to talk a little bit about it and get like some initial reactions about that trailer. We had gotten the teaser trailer a couple weeks ago. Now we got the full trailer. What were your initial reactions, Megan? Let's start with you. What do you think?
I thought it was overwhelming.
In a
it
good
was-
way.
in a good way, but it was like, and one of the guys was discussing this yesterday, and Beyond the Force. How are they gonna manage to tell so many stories with 8 episodes? Because so many
Mm.
people appeared in that. I don't know how long the trailer is, but
Like a minute and a half.
so many
maybe.
characters.
Mhm.
So how are you going to connect these stories and
Yeah.
pay justice to all these stories?
Right.
So I'm a little bit scared, especially after those episodes we got in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I can't help but wonder, is it going to be focused on Mando, or is it going to be focused on Grogu mostly? I want to see how they which
Yeah.
take they have on this.
Mhm.
But yeah, I liked it. I liked that. Of course, I'm going to watch it, but I'm a little bit scared.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I can feel that. Nani, you are our resident trailer skeptic. You hate watching trailers.
I know.
But now you have a job to do, and that is to watch
Right.
Star Wars content immediately. So what do
Yeah.
you think?
So I had actually skipped the teasers, so I knew nothing when I saw the trailer. Like as soon as it came up, it was like, okay, we have to watch the trailer. Josbando like put it up automatically, and then I was blown away. I mean, Pedro Pascal sounds amazing. Like him narrating it the whole way through was such a good choice to go through it. It gives you enough to just like make you more excited about it, but it doesn't, spoil anything. It just, I think, just opens the doors for a lot of speculation that we're all gonna get wrong, which is fun because we have a little bit of time before it is released. I think it visually looks amazing. I love the soundtrack. So, hearing all the notes is very fun, but I think it actually makes more sense now to have done those episodes in Book of Boba Fett, because clearly there's a lot of storytelling that they wanted to do. So they kind of wanted to intro in Book of Boba, even though it did steal the spotlight from poor Boba Fett. But I think they did it on purpose because they realized that they had a lot to cover this season in only 8 episodes. So I think there is good planning there, and they might actually be able to pull off all the story beats. We'll see. I don't know, because I loved season 1. I was a little disappointed with season 2, and I have high expectations for 3. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think, and well, and I before I give my take, I want to see your guys' opinion on this. We see Dr. Pershing. We see him in a speeder in a city planet. Everyone's first reaction is that it's Coruscant.
Yeah.
But some people have been doing the theory that it's actually Hosnian Prime, and I think that's actually a pretty great theory, considering that that does become the capital of the New Republic. What do you guys think? Hosnian Prime or Coruscant?
I thought it was Coruscant first, but I've only watched it once because I feel like if I watch it more than once, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole, and then be disappointed.
Yeah.
So I think it's Coruscant.
Yeah.
I would love it if it
Coruscant,
weren't. If it weren't, because we've spent enough time in Coruscant. Like I want to see other places, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think
it's Coruscant. Yeah.
The thing is, I do think that it's just like the theory about the Order 66 scene, that it might not be Order 66. Very likely that it could be something else, but I think it's at this point in the timeline, and the implication of actually putting it in a trailer is that not that it necessarily is, but that it's most likely Coruscant, especially because we saw it in Andor, we saw it on Kenobi, so I think maybe Lucasfilm was trying to capitalize on, well, we built all these assets digitally and physically, so let's just, milk them as much as we can before we have to move on to the next thing. So.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hunger in the fandom to see prequel era planets. So, we didn't get to see Coruscant in the sequel trilogy, and people really wanted to see that. So I think since we don't have any movies right now, I think that's what Lucasfilm was doing. It's like, okay, we didn't do that in the films, so let's put Coruscant as much as we can where it makes sense on the TV show. But Hosnian Prime would be awesome. I don't know. Yeah. That would be cool. Because it would be counterintuitive. Well, not counterintuitive, but
well, and it still looks amazing. So regardless, it's going to be great. So
yeah.
But anyway, who cares about that Mando show? We came here to talk about that Bad Batch. The Bad Batch. Because we know that is the top show on Disney Plus ever. Maybe, we are 4 episodes in of 16. So you do the math. We're some fraction of the way towards the end. Last week's episode, The Solitary Clone, was probably one of the best episodes in Star Wars animation that we've ever gotten. It was dark, it was haunting, it was meaningful in terms of what it means for Crosshair's journey and clones as a whole. And this episode was a complete 180. It was bright, colorful, fun. There's lots going on. Some people would use the trigger word filler. I would not, but I want to see everyone's opinion on that, considering that it might or might not move the plot along, although I don't know how people can say that without seeing the next episodes to see the impact it'll have in the rest of the series. But definitely a different pace than we had last week. So very interesting to see this discussion. Megan, you're our guest, so as always, guest goes first. What was your reaction, especially considering that your first and favorite movie is episode 1, and there's lots of pod racing there. How did you feel about this Fast and the Furious-esque episode?
Fast and the Furious. That's a great comparison. I can't unsee it now. I'm biased for sure because it's the one. It's not just in Star Wars. It's in any type of film. If you include sports in something that naturally you wouldn't connect with sports, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be like a cool event to watch, and I've always enjoyed that. So seeing this episode, I fall into the sinning category where I would say it's a filler. At this point, it does feel like that. But when you think of it like in an overall sense, we're still 8 episodes away. 8 episodes? 12 episodes. We still have 12 episodes left. Hopefully this connects to part of the bigger picture of the story. So I'm hoping it doesn't become this throwaway episode and it actually builds into something else. But I absolutely loved it. And like you said, it's a more cheerful, happier, upbeat episode compared to the last one, which is completely dark. I even made the comparison of saying this is an Andor-esque episode. It felt more like an Andor episode than Bad Batch. So it was refreshing to see part of the team enjoying hot racing or riot racing in this episode. I loved it.
I saw some people online complaining about why wouldn't you just call it pod racing? I'm just like, what? Because there's if on Earth we have different types of racing, why wouldn't we have different types of racing in the galaxy? And this is like, it's even more fun than pod racing because it's basically Mario Kart in space. So it's fun. It makes sense. So,
because they actually have pew pews. It's not just the race. They can shoot.
They have the pew pews. Exactly.
And
some people are just cynical. Some people are just curmudgeons. They're just cynical. It's like, just let there be new things in Star Wars. Anyway, Nani, what did you think?
Yeah, I was originally, when it first started, I was kind of a little bit upset because I thought we were starting to lean away from the Sid missions because, last episode was so great. And then the first 2 episodes, even though it was a Sid mission, we have Echo saying that they should be doing more for the galaxy. So I was like, it's another one. Fine. It's another Sid mission, but it's a different breakup of the team. And I love that Tech got his shot to shine, which was fantastic. Exactly. But then as soon as we go into this planet that it looks kind of dark and then it opens up into the arena and you first start to hear the noise and it's like, pod racing? What? And it's like, welcome, riot racing. They actually can shoot at you. And from then on, I was sold. It was so much fun. I was cheering along the whole episode. Not every episode has to be incredibly thoughtful. Sometimes it can just be fun.
Well, but thoughtful, I think it's a point of view, right? Because I do think there's a lot of thoughtfulness into the episode in terms of like
with droids.
And we'll get humans, to it with like, the droid and like taking the easy way out of or using offense as defense or the opposite of that. Yeah. There's a lot of like meaningful stories.
There's a lot of stuff in there. So
it's just that there's no like at least insofar
not yet.
Episode. There aren't ramifications into the greater narrative. But there probably will be, as we'll discuss a little later. But sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine. I just thought it was great, and the music was fantastic, and it was just fun. The episode ended. I was happy. I was depressed after the end of the last episode, even though it was great. I was like really sad, and this one I was like, they made me smile. I can't be angry about this. So it was a fun episode. It was really fun.
It was a lot of fun. However, I want to see everyone's opinion on this. I enjoyed it, although it took me a couple minutes to get into the episode because it was, at least to me, it was kind of a jarring change, in tone from like last week when we're super, dark and, like I said, dark and haunting and like all this melodrama, right, of everything that's happening in this post Clone War.
So like really bright.
All of a sudden, just like, shift like 180. It's like, oh no, never mind. Now we're going to have some fun and we're going to bring a Mantel mix here while we're, betting on Dejarik. So as opposed to the first 2 episodes, which I think tonally still made more sense with Solitary Clone, it's like a natural progression of like, okay, we're still exploring these themes of the Imperial era and the consequences of that. And Solitary Clone is kind of the apotheosis of that. And all of a sudden it's just like, a reverse. I felt like we needed an episode in between to kind of bridge the gap tonally, right? Between like super dark and super bright. I think we needed like a episode in between to make, get me prepared to be happy again. But that's just me. Because after we get to the planet, which I forgot the name of the planet, I was all in. I was invested. I thought all the voice acting was great. Ernie Hudson as
we got ourselves a Ghostbuster.
We got ourselves a Ghostbuster. He was hilarious. I forgot for the life of me the guy that plays the droid. Whatever, I forgot his name.
Ben Schwartz.
I knew something like that. He was hilarious in the role. So yeah, I really loved it. But I wanna speculate right now about ramifications that the episode might have, right? Because I do think that there might be some plot devices and oh my god, setup that they're doing for the rest of the season, especially with Sid and what she has to do with the Bad Batch and if she's gonna betray them or not. Because at the end of the episode, Ernie Hudson, takes Wrecker, Omega, and Tech, and it's just like, oh, don't trust.
Don't trust.
She's shady. She's gonna betray you the first time she gets. So obviously that's clearly set up. So I starting with you, Megan, what do you think is going to happen in the series? Do you think that there's going to be a moment where Sid is going to betray the batch? What do you think is going to be the consequences of that scene?
I think at this point, I would hate for her to betray the team, honestly, because it would be very predictable. It would be a very Hondo thing to do, right? Because he would throw anyone under the bus.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone's expecting her to, at some point, because I never trusted her.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
at some point, we're all expecting her to turn against the team or to rat them out, or she's going to do something against them. And I don't want that to be true. I'm expecting that, but I hope I get that one thing wrong, because it would be predictable, and it's okay to do predictable things. This episode was predictable indeed, but predictability is fine. I just would hate for her to go down that road when they've shared so much, they sacrificed so much. I mean, she's been helping them, but she's not doing it wholeheartedly.
It's not out of the goodness of her heart.
I know. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like they have a good thing going. I hope she doesn't betray them, but I mean, I don't know what to expect, honestly.
Nani,
I
how
got a
about
lot
you?
of things wrong.
Oh, we get
things wrong
everything
all
wrong
the
all
time.
the time. Especially at the end of the episode, we'll do a little segment we call responsible speculation, where we obviously, try to predict what's going to happen. And we're 90% of the time wrong. So
Wrong.
it's
I
part of
love
the
that.
fun. It's part of the fun.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, Megan. I really don't want her to go down that path, especially because, yeah, she's always been a hustler. I also never trusted her. She's always had ulterior motives, but this time they really went out on a limb for her. And I think even she admitted like that she's changed. Maybe she hasn't changed that much, but she's trying to. And I think we are going to see a moral dilemma, but I think at the end of the day, I'm hoping she ends up not betraying them. Like maybe it's going to be like a red herring where we think she did, but she didn't really. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I like that idea. I like that idea. Because I was thinking something along those lines. I think obviously there's going to, because of what happened in this episode, there will be a time where she's going to have the choice to betray them or not. And regardless of if she does betray them or not, I do think there's going to be some sort of redemption in her where she realizes that, oh, that's not who I am. Their family, this is Fast and the Furious. So it's Vin Diesel's family.
It's all about family.
It's all about family.
La familia.
And she's going to like realize that and like either find a way to like take her betrayal back, but I like your idea more, Nani, where like it would appear that she did the betrayal, thus fulfilling the prophecy of this episode. But it was actually like, one of those convoluted knives out schemes where it's just like you have to play fifth-dimensional chess to realize what's going on. In the end, it was still a plot between her and Hunter or Tech or whatever to get the squad out of trouble. I think that would be really cool. Because we got our betrayal, but we still got our redemption. Which at the end of the day is what matters most on this episode. Which again, like I know we've been saying like how much fun the episode was, but there were so many parallels to episode 1, especially with the setup of how the riot race happens, especially with how it happens in episode 1 with the pot race, where we have the setup with the gangster and making the bet and all these things, and then having the race take place. But I think one of the improvements, not that episode 1 needs to be improved upon, but one of the improvements that the storytelling here versus episode 1 does is that it has that scene between the robot and Tech and the different approaches to how to win a race, which I think is very telling about how the Bad Batch operates as a unit versus the Empire versus the Rebels, where the droid obviously represents the Empire, just like react, be aggressive, and use offense instead of defense, just attack. And Tech, which I think was the great part of Tech's character, we didn't see a lot of character development for Tech in season 1, but this season he's finally getting some really cool story beats, and now he's realizing that it's not just about thinking like a droid, which was how he used to think, right, in season 1, but now he's kind of seeing the nuance and the symbolism of turning off the weapons so he can divert energy to the shields, and then finally just like dumping the weapons in favor of a defensive
Speed.
action. For speed. Got the need for speed, baby. It was very Top Gun as well.
I know.
So Tech's growth and strategy, especially during the race, before and during the race, was phenomenal. So I wanted to see what you guys thought of Tech and and his attitude in this episode. Megan, what do you think of Tech?
Honestly, my two favorite characters from Bad Batch are both Tech and Omega. So
really? Even
cool.
since season 1.
Yeah, from season 1.
That's awesome.
Okay.
My dog, she was like back there a second ago.
Mhm.
We named her Omega after Omega. So like,
That's
I love her,
yep.
but I also love Tech because he's so mechanical about everything and quirky. Like the quirkiness of his commentary, I've always loved him. So seeing him get this opportunity of having the spotlight of not being behind the screen or behind the computer or somewhere in the ship giving orders, he's actually in the middle of the action. And for me, that was just refreshing to see him there and not just be a backup to Hunter. Like that's usually how it plays out. So I was glad to see Hunter out of the picture that Tech was like the main guy in this episode. It was exciting. It was good to see. So I'm happy he had the chance.
I think that was a really good decision to get rid of Hunter. We get like so much Hunter in season 1, and I think it's not that I don't like Hunter, but I feel Hunter is just like he's just Captain Rex. He's Rambo Captain Rex. But that's whatever. That's my opinion.
He's very overpowering on screen.
Right.
Yeah.
As you say, you have a family, right? As Vin Diesel would say, but we only get the focus on one character. Well, two, right? Omega and Hunter. Yeah. But Nani, what did you think about Tech? Did you like Tech, by the way, in season 1?
I did always like Tech, but I thought he was a little bit one-dimensional. But that's because they never really gave him the choice to do anything else. But I do always like logical thinking as applied to, especially when he would have conversations with Wrecker, and then he was paired with him this time. And I loved Wrecker in the background being like, "You're in last place. That's losing. You understand that you need to be in the front to win." And it's like, this is strategy. Yeah. No, it's losing. I mean, they're such great counterparts for each other. But I thought it was great how they called him the spectacled spectator, which is what he has been the entire time, and this time he got he got to shine. And I thought it was actually really funny that it was the droid that was telling him that you can't calculate everything. Calculations are not necessarily the most important thing. It has to be strategy and skill. And I love that he literally just watched only 2 races and was doing an analysis as the race was ongoing as well. And they say, you should be trying to avoid getting, bombed. He's like, I can do more than one thing at once. I mean, it's just so calm, cool, collected. And it was great. I loved it. And I love that, he was kind of surprised when everybody started cheering for him because he's always so in the background. And then he had like the little smile, like, yay, recognition. So it just made me smile. Made me really happy to see Tech do that. But it's a great counterpoint of talking about what is the thought behind, is it calculation? Do you have to think like a droid? There weren't droids in the pod racing, and they didn't allow humans to do it either because they didn't have like the sense for it. Obviously Anakin did because he's the one, but it was cool to see like a bunch of these riders were droids. And they were droids with really weird personalities because Teo, we've had a lot of droids that I love, but I kind of hated Teo. He was super annoying. He referred to himself in the third person. I mean,
I hate that.
I hate that.
I don't trust anyone that does that.
It's like the royal we.
So
I thought he was kind of a dick, which I think
it's true he was. He got his twice though. He got murdered twice. So first,
but he regrets nothing.
First he was attacked, and then the other one,
run over. But that was hilarious when he's like,
he had it coming.
Yeah, I know. But I do love when he's like very dramatically being like, I regret nothing.
Death. He did say that. But imagine, like, honestly, I kept thinking, if Teo sounds like that, imagine how Chopper would sound if he were able, because the same personality, so much energy. if he could actually speak English or whatever they call it, what do they call it?
Basic.
There's a name for it, basic. If he were able to do that, it would be scandalous.
Goose hates Chopper,
I
even
don't
without
hate-
speaking. You hate
I
Chopper.
don't hate Chopper. It's just he's not my favorite character. He's not my favorite family member from the Ghost. It's a hot take. I know everyone loves Chopper, especially because he's a murderous little crazy man.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like BB-8. I like R2D2. I like K2SO. I don't like Chopper. I'm sorry.
It's too much sass.
It's too much sass. Yeah, too much. It's like if someone was putting a little bit of adobo on what you're cooking, and then the lid fell off. It's just too much. Too
Mhm.
much. But that's my opinion. Anyway. Demasiado. But something I wanted to say, because I put this on Twitter and it didn't get much reaction, so I'm gonna get a reaction. Damn it! And I wanted to see what you guys thought about it, because while we were in the race, the second race, the one that Tech is doing, the music was wonderful. By the way,
Yes,
like
in
the whole of the episode, the Kiner brothers, Kevin Kiner and the Kiner brothers are doing a great job with the scoring, as they always have. But during that race, I just kept getting Matrix Reloaded, the highway chase scene in the Matrix Reloaded. For me, the music, obviously not a 1-to-1 thing, but it gave me lots of vibes from that sequence in the Matrix. Did you guys feel that, or do you see what I'm saying, or am I a lone wolf here?
I'm sorry, but I don't. I would need to go. I've seen those movies once, probably. So I would need to go back and make the comparison, because I love finding comparisons or similar feelings between movies. So I'd have to go back. I'm definitely gonna do that. But I did not think of it until you said it. So I don't know.
You rescue me.
I can't rescue you. I saw it once I saw your tweet, but at the time
I
not pick it up.
I will convince the internet if it's the last thing I do on
No,
Twitter.
I do
I will
believe you
convince
now,
everybody.
but at the time I didn't pick up on it. Like once I saw your post, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because I remember once that scene happened, I was like, do you hear that? Like, do you hear those sounds? Like that sounds really cool. But it didn't necessarily make me think of the Matrix. I just thought it sounded really
I'll
Too specific.
I'll do something to make
You'll
it
do something.
see
You'll
what
figure,
I see.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah, see things the way I see them. I think that's the problem with the world. People just don't see things
how
my
you
way. But another symbolic thing that happens in the episode I thought was like really, really clever was the tunnels, right? We have two tunnels that are the easy way, so to speak, and then the forbidden tunnel, so to speak, which I thought was it's on the nose, obviously, but I felt it was so relevant and poignant to like life, right? And like how we traverse life and how we make choices and the paths we take, quite literally. And it's an adage, it's a saying. People always say, the hardest path is the one that has more rewards. And I think that was such one of the great things I think, and the path less taken, right? And I think that's one of the great things that specifically animation does, is kind of take those things that are very metaphorical and symbolic and kind of show them in a literal way. So I don't know. Now I gotta start with you. What do you think of that visual metaphor, right? Of the forbidden path or the hard path?
I thought it was gorgeously done, actually, because it's just like this tunnel with a giant hole in it and no faith in Tech whatsoever that he can make it. And he's like, oh, if I'm fast enough, I can do this. But I thought it was great because everybody, and then that one follower, obviously one guy has to follow him to try and destroy him, and then falls right down the hole. Because it has to be your own decision to go down that path, not just follow somebody into it.
Ooh,
so
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
That was good. I wasn't thinking that way, but sprinkled a little extra. Megan, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars has a lot of cool things, but one of the cool things is that you have a show like this where anybody could take something from it, and it could be seen as a simple racing episode, but there's so much symbolism behind everything. I mean, and we've seen it every animated series. One might think, oh, that's a kiddie show. A lot of people say these animated series are kiddie shows,
are just
for
for kids.
audience, specifically designed for children and a younger audience. But when you look at moments like this, for example, anybody can take something from it. And this example of the tunnels, that's symbolic. And you, obviously, as an older audience, we can appreciate that. It's probably not the intention, and a child might not notice that. But there's a lesson there. So he might not see the symbolism behind the tunnels, but he might see, oh, this character was brave enough to try something new.
Right.
I'm gonna take that from there. So everybody gets a little bit of something from these episodes. It doesn't matter like if you're 5 or 87, you'll find something there.
I hope so. I mean, I think that's the really special things about Star Wars animation, is that it gets to do so much more weird things that live action
and get away with it.
and get away with it, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, like, just to talk about Rebels for a second, like, I don't think we would ever get any of the Force themed episodes that we got in Rebels in live action. I don't think we would have ever gotten the World Between Worlds or any of the temple episodes
Purgle
that Ezra
or
the Purgle. Oh my god, we were never getting Purgle in live action. Maybe now we could, because it's like, okay, well, fans accept it. But like I think that has been the problem a little bit with Star Wars live action currently, is that it's afraid
to be weird
of what exactly of what made the normies, right? Because we're all nerds, we're all in the world, so we know what's up, but we're not the majority of people watching Star Wars. And I think the people at Lucasfilm/Disney are kind of afraid of what the general audience would accept in their Star Wars live action, which is what most people watch. And I think that's the freedom that animation has, because it has like less of an audience, and it's directed towards a different market that is receptive to weird things, because children animation has always been weird, I guess. It can get away with that. So I'm very happy right now with, well, not very. I'm still a little, Solitary Clone got me on a high, going higher on Bad Batch, but I'm still not as high as I was with Andor. But I know Bad Batch will keep improving. But before we wrap up, I mean, this has been like an amazing conversation, but now we're going to the segment of responsible speculation, where we, you know, based on what we've seen so far, we try to take a stab at what's going to happen in the rest of the season. So Megan, so far 4 episodes in, what do you think the seasons go? I mean, we know we're gonna see Gunji at some point, but where do you think that the wheels are spinning towards?
Honestly, at this point, specifically basing this opinion on this last episode, there's obviously gonna be a storm at some point, right? I feel like we're setting up the calm before the storm. We need some chaos for this to thrive. So I'm a little bit skeptical regarding the writing process, because for the last season, I feel like there was a lot of inconsistency regarding the writing, and I base a lot of my opinion on what would be logical to me writing wise. So I'm not sure. I don't necessarily have like a strong opinion regarding the writing in this season, because I'm not, with this episode threw me off, because I'm not sure the direction, like, where are you going with this? I could assume that you giving me a single episode, that I might get an episode where each of the other members of the crew gets their spotlight. That would be fair, to get an episode like that. But the one thing that I'm hoping, regardless of what happens, because I honestly don't know where this might go, Bad Batch is very unpredictable. The one thing I'm hoping is that somebody dies. Somebody from the team, from the crew. I need that to happen. I was hoping it had happened first season, but it would have been too early, because we don't necessarily love them yet. I was hoping Record had died last season, but they didn't kill him off. Now I'm hoping somebody dies here. So I'm a little bit scared. Responsible speculation. What if it's Tech? What if they're making us like Tech now, and then they kill him off? That would be terrible. But also, yes, I would love it.
Oh my god.
So,
okay, spicy question.
Who
do you think will die, and who do you want to die?
Oh my god.
Make it spicier.
I would love it if Record died.
Okay. Is it, but that's who you want to die, or who do you think will die?
I think Hunter will die.
Interesting.
Because
that's a hot take.
we had the discussion yesterday. We discussed the episode yesterday at the podcast, and my idea is, like, everyone's idea, honestly, was, what if they're showing us the other members working independently, and like the final goal is to let us know we don't need Hunter, we don't need this leader, we could kill him,
Ooh,
and the crew
interesting.
could still be together and be successful. So if we keep seeing single episodes with these characters being in the spotlight and not Hunter, when they kill him off, it will hurt us, because obviously Omega's gonna grieve this so much, but we don't need him. So what if they kill him off? That would be, like, strategically and writing wise, it would be so smart. But
Interesting.
I don't know what. But I
I
would
love
love it
it.
if they. I think they're gonna kill him, but I would love it if they killed Record.
My
Well,
poor
How
baby.
come? How come? What did Record do? He has his Lula. I mean, he's a little teddy
I
bear.
have Lula back there.
There you
No,
go.
he's just annoying. I don't like him. He's too much, and he's so dumb. And if he's our funny character, I feel like Tech could be the funny character as well. I laugh more with Tech and his quirkiness and his out of place comments than with Wrecker. So I feel like we could still have Tech as a comic relief, and then get rid of Wrecker.
Record.
I love it. It's spicy. I love it.
It's
That's
so great.
That's my speculation.
Responsible speculation.
Yeah.
Responsible speculation.
Important to make note of that.
So
Nani,
we'll see.
what about you?
Now that you bring
get
it
to
up,
the Deadpool. I'll get to the Deadpool later, but let's go with your speculation.
well, it's really hard to speculate. I still kind of want, because I love Omega, but she's becoming a little bit one-dimensional now to me, because it's always like the same thing. It's like, oh, let's save everybody. Oh, we have to save them. Oh, like, I kind of want her to get a little bit more character development. So I'm hoping, as I've said, I think in every single episode, that she meets Boba. And there's a change there, Alpha and Omega. So I've always wanted that. Now that Megan said that somebody kind of needs to die, I agree, because I feel like they have too much plot armor. And then every time that something happens, you assume that they're all going to survive. And so you lose some tension. So I feel like if something actually bad happens to one of them, it'll increase, that, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I would like Hunter to die, actually. I think he's my least favorite. Because, like you said, he's kind of a copy of Rex. So it's a character we already know. We need him because he's a leader, but we've been seeing that they all have leadership skills for different areas.
Right.
And they bring different things to the table. Like, basically all he does right now is be overprotective as of right now. Because he used to have way more skills, like, before the Bad Batch. Like, in season 7 of Clone Wars, we saw him be more badass. But now he's just like, just overprotectiveness, So,
right.
I don't know.
I love it. Yeah. I'm usually not, I hate to see characters die, but I love how murderous we're being right now.
Add some spiciness.
Right. Because I do think that makes a lot of sense, and we need to see. Well, not need to see. I think it's Star Wars, and there's a lot of joy to be had. But I
some danger.
There would be a lot of gravitas to killing a character. I don't think that it would be Wrecker, because he's too lovable. So I think Hunter's the main. He's the main. That's who I would kill too, because I think his character arc is kind of complete for now. He learned how to not be the clone and be a dad and all that stuff. So, like, I'm good with him. But I think the ones that are on the Deadpool are Tech and Echo. And I hate to say it with Echo, because they already killed Echo once.
Yeah, I know, and all he's been through. Oh my God.
Exactly, and all he's been through. So that's why, like, I hope that he's not on the chopping block, because
no death flag there. Please
kill him again. But I think those are the two most likely ones if you were to save Hunter, which I can see that, because he's the traditional hero.
Yeah.
But I'm agreeing here. Let's kill Hunter.
Let's kill Hunter.
So that's my contribution to the Deadpool. But in terms of, like, speculation, I think now, and I think it's somehow, I don't necessarily think that's going to directly tie in to The Mandalorian, because obviously Mandalorian is 30 years afterwards, more than 30 years. But we did end the show last season with the revelation that Nala Se, I think was her name, was being brought to Mount Tantus.
Yeah.
And anyone who's read the Heir of the Empire books, that's where all the cloning stuff happened there. So they brought a cloner to Mount Tantus, which is known for cloning. So whatever Papa Palpatine's project for cloning thing is happening, maybe the beginnings were there. So I don't think that they would have presented that last season.
And just leave it completely hanging.
Exactly. If it's not going to play a part now. So maybe that's where Gungi comes into play, because the cloning we know from Mandalorian has to do with splicing with Force sensitive blood. So maybe that's how Gungi comes in, and the Bad Batch has to transport him. And I don't know. All I know is I want Gungi to be safe. He's my favorite.
And I want his lightsaber.
Dumpling. And I want his lightsaber. God, Hasbro, just make it. Just make it. I would buy that 10 times, so I can sell it 9 times on eBay. I'm kidding. But yeah, Mount Tantus, and kind of see, and obviously everything we already talked about with Sid and the plausible red herring betrayal. I think that's kind of where I would want well, I don't want to say one, but where I see the season going. But we'll see, and hopefully we're not wrong, because I think all of these murder ideas were wonderful. So let's see which member of the batch dies, and we'll have our Deadpool, and we'll see. We'll put some money into it. But before we wrap up, Megan, this has been such a wonderful time chatting with you.
Thank you so much for joining.
But before we leave, why don't you tell us a little bit, we should have done at the beginning, I guess. But why don't you tell us a little bit about Cultura Secuencial and Beyond the Force and what you guys talk over there? I mean, I know it's Star Wars, but you guys have a different flavor of what you do there than what we do here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about
of course. So Cultura Secuencial is like the main channel, and it produces a lot of different podcasts. So anything from noob talks, and they just talk about video games, and it gets chaotic. And then Cultura Secuencial, the main podcast, which is the pop culture one. So that's where we talk about movies and books and series. And then we have the Star Wars one, Beyond the Force. And this year, actually, a month from now, it's our 2nd anniversary as a podcast.
Congratulations.
Very exciting. This past year, we were at Comic-Con. We had a panel.
And that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Puerto Rico
and we talked about,
oh my God.
I know. See, we're always representing. We got to talk about the hero's journey in Star Wars. And that was really interesting. Plus nerve-wracking, because you have so many people that were just looking at you. But yeah, you were at a convention as well. I know.
We were at Star Wars Celebration. We had a panel there too, which was
really cool.
I totally understand. It's just like
insane.
Super nervous about it. Yes. But yeah, we're conquering different areas of nerd. Now we need another podcast to be at New York Comic Con.
Right. Oh, that's the crazy Comic-Con, the insane, the goal of all Comic-Cons. Yeah, but we've been going on for 2 years, and it's just 3 guys and I, 3 amazing Star Wars fans, and we sit down and talk about the movies or the series, mostly currently running shows. But I made the guys watch the holiday special. And they hate me a little bit. And the Ewok movies. The Ewok movies.
Those are great. I used to love them.
They are terrible, but they're great at the same time. I don't know. They're like cringy, but it's fine. You must watch them anyway. So we're trying to watch everything and talk about everything.
That's great.
The 4 of us have very different takes on Star Wars, so it's always interesting.
Which is that's the best part. Seeing like how we can all come together. Maybe disagree, but disagree respectfully and still having fun
exactly
while we do it. So that's great. And everyone, please make sure to check them out, because as always, we're diverse voices, hoping that everyone
we will leave all the links.
Voices. So please make sure to check them out. Where can people find you, by the way? Why don't you plug all those links?
Oh, okay. So you can find me on Instagram as Megan Louugs, and I'm just randomly reposting stuff. And then I have a TikTok account that's purely Star Wars. And you can find me as Egg Skywalker.
Okay.
Terrible
We'll
name, but
we'll put a link
I
to
love
that
it.
as well. Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much, Megan, for joining us. This was a great conversation. We love that you loved the episode, even though it was
Yes.
like a little incongruent in the storyline. It was still fun and
For now,
riot
for now.
racing.
Mhm.
Pew pews.
My new favorite sport.
Right. Oh, I want the video game. Yeah. Like I want. the video
Oh
game right
yeah,
now.
It's
that would be
coming.
so much fun. But until next time, we are Triad of the Force. We will continue to do our Bad Batch episodes. We will be back with regularly scheduled episodes at some point, we
Oh,
promise.
doggo.
We will be watching, obviously, Mandalorian Season 3 as soon as it comes out. We are very excited. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Leave us some comments, like, subscribe, and may the Force be with you.